Hello and welcome to our garden. This is our June garden tour, first tour of the summer, and I'm so excited to have you here. I'm Danielle and I'm going to be guiding you through our garden. Come on in. This is our second year in this garden, and you'll notice that we were very deliberate with a lot of the things that we built in this garden. We took a lot of time planning this out, a lot of time building it by hand. And one thing that I want to point out is the fencing that we have all around the garden. Nice high fencing. This is deer fencing in order to keep all of the deer out, because we live in a very highly populated deer area, and if we do not do this, everything will be gone before you know it. We've also added a lot of different touches in order to bring in the natural birds and bees and pollinators. So you're going to see a lot of those throughout this tour as well. Starting back here, we have these nice steel galvanized buckets. These are actually feeding troughs that you can use for animals. We've used these a lot for brooder boxes when raising chickens, but we really wanted to add this touch to our garden as a nice fun flair. In both of these boxes, we have some nice grape vines. Our goal is to really get them climbing up the fencing, similar to this guy right here. This is now going on its second year here, so she's growing really, really well. Hopefully going to grow up here. I've also sprinkled in some flowers, some wildflowers in both of these buckets. If we go along this side over here, this is mostly our storage area. We are putting in a nice dog house because we have 2 Australian Shepherds, so that they can have some fun time in here. And this is kind of probably where we'll end up putting it. We have this nice winter box right here, so you can grow things in the winter as well. In the colder weather, we've been doing some experimentation. If you go over to this side over here, again, another bucket of grapes. We have another grape down here, our little pup pool over here, so they can stay in this area, and they have a nice area that they can hang out in. We have a lot of chairs that you can lay down in, a nice table for a garden dinner setting, and this table right here is our gardening table. Right now, we have a bunch of starters going over here so that we can do some successional planting. We also found that some of the weeds that are popping up in our garden beds are actually some native trees that grow in the area. So we've started to put them in bigger buckets instead of just pulling them out of the garden, so that we can start to plant these along our property once they do get a little bit better, stronger, and they're able to really thrive in the environments. We've also cut out some slots over here so that we can hang up a lot of our garden tools, make sure you're not losing them within the garden. We also have this nice garden bucket housing a lot of our stuff, and we're just going to keep growing this section as we get more and more garden tools. If you follow along this way, you can see we have our nice dining area set up, really great for having those garden dinners, especially when we get enough fruits and veggies that we can be feeding them to all of our guests. We have some nice hangout areas over here, and then you start to walk down the nice hall of our garden. Again, we have some nice steel galvanized buckets. These are really, really great. A nice, easy way to start your own raised garden beds. And the real reason that we decided to do a raised garden bed is because, one, we didn't have to amend any of the soil. We were able to bring in our own soil. We used the hugelkultur method in order to build these boxes. So we started off with layers of cardboard on the bottom. For the galvanized steel buckets, we were able to just drill some holes in the bottom for water to escape and to have some drainage in them. And then we layered some sticks, leaves, as well as some nice, good, fertile soil on top. And we were raising a lot of worms at that time, so we were able to integrate a lot of the worms that we were raising and put them into a lot of the boxes as well. So we're already getting a lot of those good animals, those good insects, in order to start digesting a lot of those products down and turn it into even a more nutritious garden with more nutritious soil. On both sides of me here, I have some cabbage. You can see it is growing really well here. This little guy is not doing as well, but really starting to grow. If you go in here, you can see that it's starting to ball up even. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like. I've been taking really good care, making sure that we don't have any caterpillars. Last year, we got a really big caterpillar infestation. So I've been trying to watch them. And what I will do is if I see any caterpillars or leaves where there's like nesting on them, I've been cutting off those leaves and actually putting them over there, which on the other side of this fence is where our chickens live. And our chickens love to have a lot of the garden scraps and goodies from our garden. So it makes it really easy to take anything from here and kind of scrap it over there and then use that as some food for them, some extra yummy treats for them, and then later on we can compost that soil and bring it back into our garden. Over here we also have another cabbage patch that we have going on, and then in this section, this last year was our tomato garden, so we do have some tomatoes popping up from last year. They are real hardy and nice, but this year our main goal is to have tomatillos. And if you see in those little buckets over here, these buckets are actually seedlings that we planted. These are really proving two purposes. One, you'll see they're dipped along all of our gardens. So when we're watering them, we can just go ahead and water these guys. We label them. So whatever bed this is, we have more surplus seedlings over here. And this is in order to do successional planting so that once these guys start to get a little bit bigger, we can plant these ones in there. And this is also great if you have friends, family, neighbors in the area that you're going to for any summer parties. You can bring one of these, put them in a nice pot, and they're able to add them to their garden or even start their own and have some nice veggies that you guys started. So those are kind of the two main goals: successional planting and sharing them with neighbors. Now, to add some fun pollination into the garden, these next two bins are actually some wildflowers in this garden bed. And then our next one, if you follow me this way, is a full bed of lavender. So we're really excited to harvest these and start adding some of the lavender into some fun items at the end of season, being able to clip those and make some nice scented bags and just some fun lavender items, which TBD what we're going to do with all of them, but I'm really excited to have them here. In this bed behind me, we've done two different types of plants. So we have a bunch of different varieties of tomatoes here. We have some for making different sauces, some just for eating, some grape-sized tomatoes, Roma, really fun different ones. And you'll see it dipped throughout. We actually have a bunch of different basil going on. We really overseeded with the basil, but one, it's a great companion plant for tomatoes, and two, I'm really excited to be able to walk within my garden, pick some tomato, pick some basil, and have a yummy little snack as we're kind of walking around the garden. So really excited to kind of see what this is. Next up, not a vegetable that we're growing, but a really fun addition that we've done to our garden is over here, and this is our watering system. So my husband actually built out this whole entire system, and you can see behind me we have this barn. Now the barn has a really great surface area on the roof. It collects a lot of water that goes into the black bins over there. They're covered to help reduce any growth within those bins. And then there is a filtration system and a motor that goes all throughout here. Right now the chickens are kind of digging up the path, but what I can do is it is a remote controlled system. So I can turn this guy on, comes throughout here, and I can go ahead and water all of my plants using this nice hose system. This has created a lot easier watering within our garden, and it's using recycled rainwater, which makes it a really easy task. Coming from a house with a well, we don't have that much water, and this really fills it up, especially making sure that it's set up early in the season to collect water, so you're getting a lot of water right from the beginning of the season. Our goal next year is to actually build out the tubs over there. We probably want to like double the amount of storage water that we have for the drier parts of the year. And then we also want to add a drip system. So probably in a month or two, we are going to start to test out different drip systems and start to decide which one we want to do. This is all considering that I am very pregnant. Baby's about to come out at any time. So trying to fit in figuring out the drip system as well as taking care of a newborn, but we're gonna try to do it. But continuing on, we have this bed over here. You see half the bed is currently covered with some cloth here. This is because we are going to be doing a warmer crop in here. So this is just blocking out any of the weeds that could be coming to the garden, as well as keeping the nutrients of the soil locked in there away from the sun where it can start to take away some of that nutrients. Over here is a nice mixture of spinach. So we have some really great spinach here. You can see some of these leaves we really need to pick because they're quite large. Really excited to have these. And then we also have a great bunch of garlic growing in here. We put these in at the end of fall and they have a very long growing season. They grow throughout the winter. So we will be harvesting these soon. We also really need to harvest this spinach. We put this in a little bit earlier. It's also a great colder crop. So you can plant this earlier in the season. This bed over here is primarily used for our snap peas. There's some nice coming in over here. So really excited about this. Last year we did probably a third of this in this bed, but we did create this structure. This is built with a bamboo and some plastic wiring. We left this up all through the winter and it's still kept really well. Honestly, zip ties, sun-proof zip ties are your friend for building out garden structures. They are truly amazing and last really, really well and can do a lot of things. So I definitely suggest if you need to build anything using sun-resistant or UV-resistant zip ties, really great. In this bed, we also have some cabbage as well as some string beans, not too many, but we have this string bean over here, one over here, just kind of dotted into the bed, taking advantage of all the space we can. Something else that you'll notice from this bed to our next bed over here is we do have two different mulching sources. So in this stat pea bed, we're using wooden mulch here, so like chips. And in this bed, we are using a seedless hay. We are testing out these two different varieties, really seeing which one we like more on here. This bed also, we have a few different things going on. This is primarily a tomato bed. So we have some yellow tomatoes over here. We have some purple tomatillos, some green tomatillos, and some Roma tomatoes as well over here. And then in the center, we do have some marigolds growing. This is honestly probably our biggest bed. And we regret building this large of a bed, to be honest. But what's really nice is by putting flowers in the center, you don't have to be reaching to harvest anything. And you also are gonna have a nice pollinator that can bring all of the good buggies and insects into your garden to help you grow some better plants. This is our asparagus bed. So this is our second year with these asparaguses. Last year we got a few-year-old bare root asparaguses. So we got some 2- and 3-year-old bare root asparaguses. We've also seeded some asparaguses. And what's really nice about asparagus is it will last for 40 years. It will keep growing year after year. So you want to pick a place that it can keep coming back into. I've also been adding some additional new asparagus seed so we can keep these beds rolling. That's this bed and that bed back there. And we also have some potatoes that we're testing out. We just had some old potatoes from our cupboard that were starting to spore, so we just threw them into there and we're doing a fun little science project. Over here, we have a nice seated section, so you have a nice afternoon drink or morning coffee. And this is in between our two patio peach trees. What's really great about these peach trees is they are a shorter variety of peach trees, so they're not going to grow as tall. And I also love the nice purple color to them. They give a popping color to the garden, as well as in a few years, they will add some additional shade for some shadier varieties that can go around them. The only sad part is they only have like one peach each. And then we did mulch around them to make sure that they are really locked in there, the moisture can stay. Right in front of this peach tree is my favorite bed in the garden. Last year, we used this as a pepper bed, and it was a pretty good spot, honestly, but this year it is really thriving. We have a bunch of different leafy green varieties going on, from a purple kale to some lettuce over there, some bib lettuce. We have some nice curly kale. We also have some marigolds in the center again, as well as some spinach. Some of the spinach are doing a lot better than others, honestly. We have some really high growing spinach, and then we have some babies in there. So really excited to keep watching this grow as well. And what's really nice about kale is it can last for a really long time. As long as you're picking it from the outer edges, it will continue to grow and provide a lot of harvest. So you can really take advantage of your kale. This bed over here is a fun bed we're doing testing out as well. I threw in some watermelons and cantaloupe, which usually do have a longer growing season in here, and they're going to be pretty viney. They usually need a lot of space, but they also don't really leaf too much or take up that much space. So I did throw some tomato plants in here, but what's really crazy is I didn't purposely throw these tomato plants in. Last year, we just cut a lot of our dead, depleted plants and just laid them in the boxes over the winter, and they just started to grow little tomatoes. So these are actually from last year, random seeds that fell off. They're just growing. This bed right here is our eggplant bed. We have 4 eggplants going, as well as we have some seedlings over here so that we can add these as well. Now behind me, you can't really see that well, but we'll do some B-roll of our area. We are doing the start of an orchard. Right now we have 3 cherry tree plants as well as some others, and we are going to be adding more rows of trees every single year so that that can start to be a nice fenced in orchard area. We also have this great bed right here. This is our strawberry patch, which is our 2nd year of growing this. Last year we did grow this strawberry patch, and right before everyone started to get super ripe, as you can see, probably around these guys over here, once they were about this stage, they all got eaten up. So this year we built this nice contraption with some PVC hoops, as well as some nice netting. This still allows for some of the pollinators to come in. It's really easy to water. You can easily come in here, pick any of the strawberries that you want, but all our little birdies can't get in there and steal our strawberries. So really excited to have this guy built for our garden this year. We are big zucchini fans. We love zucchini, and we have a lot of success growing it. I think it's a pretty easy vegetable that anyone can really grow in their garden. So if you're looking for a nice, easy plant, zucchinis are the spot. And we've had a lot of great success with these ones. Some of them are a little burnt, but they're all doing pretty well. We are planning to potentially add some shade cloths to our garden because it is very sunny over here. But again, we're hoping that a lot of our mulching of the straw does help protect a lot of these plants. Same with our bed over here, which is all a bean garden. Again, we're really focusing on the fruits and vegetables that we eat and growing a surplus of those items that we really like so that we have food all year long. We can have extra food all year long, start canning it, using it throughout the year. So we're really focusing on those. And then the 2 beds behind me, these are really nice 16-foot wide beds by 4 feet deep. We have added a nice trellis on both sides of this bed and our bed over here, we have a nice amount of carrots. So I've overseeded these carrots, and we are going to come in and start to pick some of them out so we can get some nice, good sized carrots. But they honestly just take such a long time to grow that I like to have them spread out a little bit so that they're not just taking up one entire box. This bed, because the trellis is here, we are planning to grow cucumbers. We have 2 varieties. The front side is going to be any of our eating cucumbers, and the back side is our pickling cucumbers. We love pickles and cucumbers here, so I'm really excited to see how those go. This bed, we have some more string beans going on in the front half of this bed, and in the back half we have some really nice sunflowers going on. So we really wanted to add some more beautiful pollinators in the back row back here in the mulch section. You will also see that we've added some butterfly bushes. This is in order to bring some nice pollinators into the garden. Our plan is to actually surround the whole outer edge with nice types of edible berry bushes and pollinators. Now, another section of our yard, we are doing a very, very mini orchard. As I said, we have one orchard in the fenced-in area, and then we have one orchard over here that our patio overlooks. We're doing a bunch of different varieties of fruit-bearing trees. This is our plum tree. We planted this tree last year, a couple years old, and honestly, they say it takes 2 years to root, 2 years to flower or get fruit. So we still have just a little bit of fruit on this guy, but we're hoping that in the next couple of years, they do continue to grow and get some more fruit on them. This is our plum tree. Behind me here is our pear tree, and this guy has been growing so much. We got them at the same time, and this one is literally like 15 feet tall. So really excited to see the growth here. Not that many fruits on it yet, but we're hoping in the next couple of years we do start to get them over here. If you pan to the right, we have 2 apple trees, a peach tree, another apple tree, and we'll go over to our peach trees now. This peach tree right here, we did a lot of pruning of the flowers earlier in the season. We made sure to pick off a large amount of the flowers because each flower will turn into a peach, and you can see that the peaches are just such a large size here because we did prune back all of the flowers on them, and it really allowed them to focus their energy on less fruit bearing and really grow those fruits out. So really excited to see that growth here. On our next tree, our next peach tree, we didn't do the pruning of the flowers, and you can see that there's just a lot smaller of peaches there because we didn't do this. This is something that I was testing out, and next year I'm definitely gonna pull back a lot more flowers on both of them because you can see there's a really big difference. We also have a fungus on this tree, which is really sad to see. So we are working to remedy that and hopefully being able to repair this tree in order to get it growing again. But you can see the peaches on this tree are just a lot smaller, not as big, not as strong. Well, that is a wrap for our June garden tour. Every month we're gonna be giving a new tour of our garden so that you can see the progress that we have and you can enjoy it just as we do. I'd love to hear how your gardens are going.